Hey guys, Captain Foley with you. How you doing today? I've done previous videos on my channel, JJ's Star Trek Sucks and Here's Why. I've done both of his movies in 2009 and Into Darkness. And I've had a bunch of requests that I do the other Star Trek movies in the franchise because, you know, they're not all perfect. And there are little foibles about each one. So I've chosen to go ahead and do that. I'm going to present this to you guys. We're going to start with Star Trek The Motion Picture. I just have this one for the cover art because we're actually watching the Blu-ray. But just want to show you the cover art so you can see the see that. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through it, and I'm going to point out things I've noticed over the years or things that bother me. This being the motion picture, just one of the things that bothers me is this intro. Too long, too boring. I know it's good music, but give us something to look at least. I know this is the first time that anybody's seen anything Star Trek since, you know, the 60s. So it's been quite a while, and this was a nice lead up to it. But I don't know about you, but if I was old enough to go to the theater back then, I would have been bored stiff watching this. So that's one of my biggest pet peeves about this. So we're just gonna jump ahead, and we'll, as I notice things, I'll chime in with you guys. Okay. And here's one of my favorite things about this movie is the opening. Not the opening with music. This opening with the Klingon battle cruisers going to confront this cloud. Like I said, this is the first time anybody's seen anything Star Trek since like the 60s, and this was like 78, I believe. And it's cool to start off with like the Klingons, you know, major adversary from the television series, and then to have them look so different, because this is the first time that you see the Klingons with the head ridges. And a little known fact, well, most Trekkies will know this, but the Klingon captain in this scene is Mark Lenard, who played Saavik, Spock's father. He also played the Romulan commander in the episode Balance of Terror. So he's the only actor to have played a Klingon, a Romulan, and a Vulcan in the Star Trek franchise. So, and that's him right there. So one of the coolest things about this movie is this opening, and I just wanted to kind of let you guys know that. Like I said, this video is a test. I'm going to do this movie and see how it's going to work, this format, whether we need to change it up or whatever. I want your input, your comments, your suggestions, etc. So anyway, we'll move along. One of the biggest complaints about the motion picture from fans is that the uniforms look like pajamas. While this is true, the one-piece unitard with the belt buckle does look kind of ridiculous. I think it was in Shatner's contract that he have cool-looking outfits. If you'll notice here, this is a cool-looking outfit. I know he's got the belt buckle attached to the shirt, but in this case, it looks really good. Later, when he's on the bridge, he's got different color pants, different color shirt. There's a belt buckle attached to the shirt, which looks kind of off, but his uniforms generally look pretty good. I don't know if it's just because he's an admiral, but yeah, this guy's here, the main uniform does look like pajamas, which is kind of something that annoys me. But not all the uniforms in this movie are like that. So I just want you to point out that some of the uniforms are pretty cool. Kirk's definitely being one of them, or a few of them, as the case may be. And of course, the convenient fact that the Enterprise transporters aren't working, so that we can beam up to an orbital space station and then take a travel pod or an inspection pod over to the Enterprise, so we get this classic first view of the Enterprise, is amazing. So here it is, one of the greatest scenes in not only sci-fi history, but I have to say cinema history. The reveal of the new Enterprise, and the refit is amazing. If you check out my channel, I'm actually starting my build on my 350 scale refit, so it's kind of daunting, but I'm looking forward to it at the same time. I do, of course, have the 350 scale TOS Enterprise completed. So If you're watching this and you haven't seen any of my other videos, check them out. I do model building as well, so this is next on the bench. Beautiful ship. And here we go, guys, the final reveal. Worth checking out for sure. You're going to find that I don't have a lot to say about the motion picture. It's not one of my favorite films, so I haven't watched it excessively like the other ones. I've got a lot more to say about the other movies in this franchise. Until we get to the next generation, then I haven't seen them very much. So I won't have a lot to say about those either. But this is a developing thing. We're going to experiment and see how things turn out and go from there. So bear with me, guys. If there's anything you can suggest, let me know. It'd be greatly appreciated. Otherwise, I'm just going to struggle along and do the best I can. So we're going to stop this right now, and I'll see you soon. And of course, in a second, we get a first look at the new bridge. Now, I've got some real hard decisions as far as the bridge goes. I don't know which is my favorite bridge. I love the original series bridge. I love this bridge. I love the bridge from Star Trek 2. I love the bridge from Star Trek 3, obviously, because it's the same bridge as Star Trek 2. The bridge in the end of Star Trek 4 when they get Enterprise A, also a cool looking bridge. The bridge from Star Trek 5 is one of my favorites as well. And of course the bridge from Star Trek 6 is pretty cool too. So it's hard for me to decide which is my favorite bridge, but I just like to throw that out there that this probably wouldn't be my #1 favorite as far as the refit goes. I'd probably have to say Star Trek 2. Followed probably by Star Trek 5, and I know a lot of people are going to crucify me for that. But then followed by Star Trek 6 finally. So that's where we stand with the bridge. Ah! Transporter accidents. Not cool. Also, a little known fact, this was supposed to be a TV series called Star Trek Phase 2 before they decided to do a motion picture. The gentleman you're about to see in a second, when they do the playback, or not the playback, the priority signal from Epsilon 9. This gentleman, he was supposed to play a Vulcan science officer by the name of Zahn for the Star Trek Phase 2. He was going to be on board the Enterprise, and this is the role he got when they decided to go with the motion picture. So he's got a very small part, and I kind of feel sorry for the guy because he was going to be a main character in Star Trek Phase 2. And I believe that some of the Star Trek Phase 2, or like Star Trek Continues guys on YouTube, there is a Zahn character in there. I like the way that they did that, and the way they tied it all together is really nice. Even, this is kind of off topic, but they have like Running Bear from the animated series, as well as Lieutenant Eric's with the 3 arms, 3 legs. He's in one of the fan-made ones also. So I love it that they tie all that together and they make it one cohesive thing. And we will actually go over some of the animated series later at some point if you like. But right now, we're going to focus on this. So sorry for getting off topic. But I'm also going to share little facts and tidbits that I know as we watch these, if that's okay with you guys. Because some of them you might not know. Also, in this crowd of people, Scotty's or James Doohan's children were on set that day, and they were in the audience. They were in the crowd there. So James Doohan's kids are in there. They're young adults at that point. So just a little interesting fact. And Chris Doohan, James Doohan's son plays Scotty on the Star Trek Continues fan-made episodes. So check those out because it's worth it. He does a great job of doing Scotty, just like his father. She's Delton. Okay, this scene where she comes in looks like Sulu isn't gay. No, I'm kidding. This whole relationship between Decker and her.
Hello, Eileen. I was stationed on the lieutenant's home planet some years ago.
Does this not remind you of William Riker and Deanna Troi? I think the Next Generation might have swiped this little storyline to make it more interesting. Even this whole movie, the motion picture, was called Star Trek Where Nomad Had Gone Before. Because if you watch the episode, I can't remember the name of the episode, the original series episode with Nomad, by any other name, no. Can't remember the episode title, I'm sorry. I feel like such a bad Star Trek fan right now. But this is basically the same storyline as Nomad. Getting fixed by this alien race and coming back to look for its creator. Same kind of deal. So, Star Trek, the motion picture, where Nomad had gone before.
Well, for a man who swore he'd never return.
I just remembered, the episode with Nomad was called The Changeling. So I apologize for that. I should have known that, and I feel bad now. I'll try to have my facts straight before I talk next time. Alright. And of course, Enterprise leaving dry dock. One of the most watched scenes by any Star Trek fan, especially if you're painting or building the refit model. It's a big toss-up between this one and Star Trek 2. Actually, Star Trek 2 uses a lot of the same scene or shots, but the whole how do we paint it, how do we make it look screen accurate debate. This is one of the most watched Star Trek scenes ever, and it will probably remain so for a long time. I myself will have to be watching it very soon when I do my refit, so. Beautiful shot. I was just waiting for this shot, guys. Sorry about the picture flashing like that. It's obviously not doing it for real on my plasma TV, and the picture looks very grainy here. I don't know. I'm just using my iPad to do the filming. I don't know if it's just the frame rate, what it is, so I apologize for the flashing. I've adjusted the color. It's very faint here. Looks very good on here color-wise. Otherwise, it'd be way too washed out if I had it the way it should be. But, and here we go. Okay, I got a bit of a problem with the one scene coming up here. As we all know, the photon torpedoes are red when they fire. Unless you're watching The Next Generation and it happens to be a quantum torpedo where it's blue. If you notice, when they fire this photon torpedo, it's not the standard red torpedo that we see in all the Star Trek movies. Mind you, this is the first, so this may be what they were experimenting with. So when they fire it, it's blue. It looks exactly like a quantum torpedo from Star Trek The Next Generation, which of course weren't developed at this point in this timeline here, this era. So just hold on a second here. Here we go. Red tubes, blue torpedo. So, I don't know if that's a mistake on their part or if it's a color distortion because of the wormhole they were in. You saw the streaking of the lights, etc. So maybe that was just a color distortion based on the wormhole. I don't know. One of my little annoyances is that it's blue and it looks like a quantum torpedo, which of course was unknown at this time when this movie came out. It wasn't developed until Star Trek The Next Generation. So, and I know that all the other torpedoes you see from now on in the movies are all red. So just something I'd like to point out. Don't know if anybody's noticed it before. There you have it. Another little pet peeve of mine with this movie is this fuzzy, blurry patches immediately around Kirk's face. This guy over here is perfectly visible, then it goes blurry, and it's blurry over here. I know this emphasizes the actor's face, but I'm not very happy with this kind of cinema photography. Oy. So, sorry guys, it's early morning, and I haven't yet had a coffee. So I apologize for my grammar and my speech. But yeah, this is one of the things that's always troubled me. And you see it quite a bit in the motion picture. So I don't know if anybody's noticed it before, but it kind of bugs me, and I just want, leave your comments or whatever you feel about anything I've said in the comments below. I'd be happy to read them and make adjustments accordingly for future videos. So okay, in my JJ's Star Trek sucks and here's why, or still sucks and here's why video about Star Trek Into Darkness, I talk about the warp drive and how there is no warp. It's kind of like hyperspace. You got a lever that goes up, 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 and then at the end of it is when the ship pops into warp. And I referenced this scene in that video. I just want you to take note of it. Sulu does have an actual throttle that as he goes up, it goes through the warp factors, and it makes sense to have a throttle for that. JJ's doesn't make sense as you go up and nothing happens, and at the end of the range of this lever is when it goes pop and goes off into hyperspace or warp, whatever the hell he's supposed to have in that movie. But this one makes sense. I just want you to check it out as he pushes through the warp factors with the throttle. That's what it's for. And I'm gonna reference JJ's movies in some of these because there's so many mistakes in his movies, it's retarded. So when I see something that I can reference, I will be doing that. So I just want you to guys take note of this, and then if you want to watch my other videos, please feel free. I look forward to your comments and for your views and likes also. See, he's going through all the warp factors, speeding up, and it makes sense to have a throttle that moves forward for that. Anyway, I guess you really didn't see it too much except for the early part there. But yeah, he's actually got a throttle, and it's designed to do what it's supposed to do, and that makes sense. JJ's does not.
Spock, you haven't changed a bit.
And here's where we first see Kirk's cool outfit. The other one he had on before was the blue unitard and had the belt buckle. This one has the white top with the gray pants. The belt buckle on the shirt's a little much, but I like this uniform. I think it looks good. Everyone else should have it also, but that's beside the point. And these I'm not really a big fan of. And it begins. Long, boring visuals with very epic music. Yeah, just to fill time. Could have been better without it. And I'm glad they picked up the pace as far as when they came around to Star Trek 2. But the visuals are great. It's just sitting through them all is like boring.
Mr. Decker, I will not provoke an attack. If that order isn't clear enough for you, Captain is your exec. It's my duty to point out alternatives.
You're absolutely right.
Yes, please.
Lots of this goes on. I'd also like to point out the Enterprises that you see here. We've got the schooner, the aircraft carrier, the shuttle, the transport or cruise ship, and the DY class, I can't remember exactly. And then, of course, the Constitution class. No NX-01, guys. I think the NX-01 was an alternate timeline. Anyway, always bugged me that when Enterprise came out. Sorry about that. Yeah, so when they Enterprise came out, they fucked the timeline up. Always bugged me. I apologize for all the mistakes in this video. Like I said, this is my first attempt at doing this. I'm trying to get it down, so just bear with me, guys. There's something else that's always bothered me, is the aspect ratio of this ship. It's totally off. It looks, you can tell it's painted. It's all misproportioned. It looks awful. I believe they actually fixed it on the director's cut that I have over there, the DVD. But this is the Blu-ray, and this isn't the director's cut, so it's not fixed here. But I believe if I threw in the other one, it would be fixed, and I really appreciated that fact, because it looked so bad. It looked so off. Always bothered me, even when I was a little kid. Even there, as you can see, the angle is way too sharp for the Enterprise. Just gonna go back for a second here. Check something out. Yeah, it just looks so painted. It's not even the right font. It doesn't have the outline around the letters or numbers. Just awful. Look, everybody, it's Nomad from the Changeling. An Earth spaceship that was damaged, repaired by a sentient race, and sent back to complete its mission. And the wiring and programming got all messed up, and it wanted to find its creator. I think we've done this before, guys. Oh well. Sorry, guys, I haven't commented a lot on this movie. Like I said, it's not one of the ones I've watched the most, so I don't have a lot to say about it. But this is one of my favorite scenes from Star Trek of all time. The explosion, and then the Enterprise just slowly coming out over the Earth. Beautiful. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful.
Spock, did we just see the beginning of a new life form?
Yes, Captain. We witnessed a birth. Possibly a next step in our evolution.
Makes you wonder if Will Decker, when he became one with V'ger, became omnipotent, much like Q?
I think we gave it the ability to create its own sense of purpose.
There's also a story floating around that the planet that repaired V'ger was the Borg homeworld, before the Borg were malevolent and took over cultures.
Doctor, unfortunately, it will have to deal with them as well.
It arrived from Starfleet. They're requesting damage and injury reports and complete vessel status.
Report 2 casualties. Lieutenant Alia. Captain Decker.
Aye, sir.
Correction. They're not casualties.
Report them as missing.
List them as missing. Vessel status fully operational.
Aye, sir.
Mr. Scott, shall we give the Enterprise a proper shakedown?
I would say it's time for that, sir. Aye. We can have you back on Vulcan in 4 days, Mr. Spock.
Unnecessary, Mr. Scott. My task on Vulcan is completed.
Mr. Sulu, ahead warp 1. Warp 1, sir.
Having, sir.
Out there. That away.
That way.
Alright, guys, that was the first movie, the motion picture. I didn't take too much time on a lot of the parts that were boring. I have a lot more to say about the following movies up until probably just after First Contact. Insurrection, Nemesis, I'm not big on. I will, of course, do them and review them because there are things that I've noticed in those. But Star Trek 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I've watched ad nauseum, and I know the mistakes, I know what bugs me. Motion picture, not so much. So this was just a trial run, guys. I want to check it out, watch it, see how it looks, and get your feedback on things. And then I'm going to do Star Trek 2 next. So live long and prosper. Sorry, wrong symbol. Live long and prosper, and I will see you guys later. The human adventure is just beginning after all. Alright guys, this is Captain Foley, out. I'll see you later.